Well, hello there, and welcome back to Thomas Frank Explains. In this video, I'm going to be teaching you how to go from a completely blank page in Notion to having a really nicely laid out portfolio page that you can use to show off your skills and experience, and most importantly, help you land jobs or even freelance clients. Recently, I had a fairly viral tweet about how there is currently a huge demand for video editors, specifically in the areas of YouTube video editing and social media video editing. And that thread had a few tips on how to actually break into that area, but a lot of people in the replies were asking me, number one, how do you find clients? But number two, how do you craft a portfolio that's actually going to get you hired? And to answer that question, I have created a sample portfolio page for me as a video editor, since I've been editing videos professionally since 2014. And I crafted this in Notion and realized that this is actually a very good example of a portfolio page that you could craft inside of Notion. And I want to use it as an example in this video to show you how you can actually use Notion's tools to build something like this, but for whatever niche that you're in. And once you're done building it, you'll be able to enable public viewing and actually share the link to it in your social media bios. This can essentially function as a complete website, an advertisement for you and your services. And the best part is that Notion actually lets you do this completely free. So, table of contents for this tutorial, as always, are going to be on the side of the video right there. What I'm going to do is first go through this page and explain the sections. I'm also going to explain why I've chosen each section and explain some of the content choices in there. So as a bonus, this is also a bit of a lesson on how to craft a great and compelling portfolio that will actually get you hired. But the meat of this tutorial is going to be actually building this from scratch in the Notion app and then sharing it publicly and putting it in your social media bios later on. So this will be kind of a tutorial on advanced layouts inside of Notion. We'll also use some interesting blocks. We're actually going to have a contact form on the page as well. Again, free, works very easy to set up. But like I said, first, I want to go through what is on this page, the different sections, and why I've chosen each of these sections. So first here we have the kind of header or hero image at the top. I've got a picture of myself, and then I've got a tagline. Hi, I'm Thomas Frank. I am a full stack video editor. And when I create portfolio pages, I think like a marketer. It's very much like a sales page for a product, like my Notion templates. I want to make sure that I'm targeting the desires of my intended audience. In your case, it's probably going to be a client or an employer. And I want to make sure that I am making it very clear that I am 100% the best option to meet those desires. So here I'm trying to hit the beats right away. I focus on crafting engaging videos for YouTube and social platforms. I am identifying the platforms. I'm identifying the specific kind of editing I do. And then I say I'm laser focused on viewer engagement and retention. YouTubers care about that more than anything else. And I help clients quickly create next level video content. I also have a few numbers here. I've got 200 videos under my belts with 100 million collective views. These are just kind of credibility boosters, as are these little logos here. So if you've ever seen, almost any website really, you are probably used to seeing little logo carousels like this. So this is Super, which is actually a Notion website builder, and they have some logos of other companies that are using their tool. This helps to improve trust and to ideally improve the conversion rate for this product. Well, you want to think about your portfolio as a sales letter and you getting clients or getting jobs as that conversion rate, so to speak, as well. I've got a little table of contents here, which will let people instantly jump to specific areas of the portfolio page. And then we get to the meat of the portfolio, the actual editing section. So number one, I have a reel here, and this is a very good thing for video editors to create, sort of a commercial for their talents and their editing skills. This just kind of condenses a lot of my work into 2 minutes of footage. And then I have some of the best videos that I've created. And note here that I've tried to showcase my range. I've got my artistic edit, I have my how-to edit, which also features a quick turnaround time highlighted there. I have the next level interview edit. So this kind of shows how I can craft a compelling story or narrative out of a lot of interview footage, which is a rare skill for editors. I have the Hollywood level edit, and then I have a few other things, short form video and music videos. So this, if a potential client is landing on my portfolio, should show them the breadth and depth of my editing skill, and this should ideally be the main thing that sells them on why they should hire me. Beneath that, I have what people are saying. And here I've just kind of snipped some comments from my YouTube videos of people pointing out that the editing is really good. And this is very much like a testimonial on a sales page for a product or a service. And a lot of research has shown that testimonials have a drastic positive effect on conversion conversion rates and getting people to actually take action. So same thing applies to you as a potential freelancer or potential employee. If you have testimonials, if you have references, it's very good to show them, and I'm showcasing them right here. I also have my skills and services. I note that I'm a full stack video editor, and I show all the different things I can do. And again, I'm trying to show the breadth and depth of what I can provide. I don't want to just say I'm a video editor. I want to say I can do assembly cuts, I can do color grading, I can do VFX, and I can do sound design, even custom sound design. When you're trying to sell yourself, you want to point out exactly what you can do, because your potential clients can't read your mind. You have to actually say what you can do before they can make a decision on it. This is another interesting section, and I don't see a lot of this on portfolios or resumes. I think there should be more of it. I do see a lot of this on sales pages, especially ones that convert very well. And that's almost like a letter explaining not just why I'm the best person for the job, but why investment in video editing is a good thing to have. And while you're watching this, while you're going through this, think about how you can apply this to any niche that you're in. This isn't just useful for video editing, it's useful for anything you're trying to persuade people to hire you for. So industry doesn't matter here. Here, I talk about the value of great editing. I talk about how it's a language. It's not about just throwing transitions and flashy effects on a video. It's about choosing when to use effects and choosing when to have the editing get out of the way. It's about being cognizant of the context, of the theme, of the action that you actually want the viewer to take. And here I even show how great editing can have a huge outsized effect on the performance of a video, both the views and the subscribers, even the AdSense revenue and potential sales for a product you might be selling. So where the previous sections were meant to sort of show off my skills as an editor, to showcase that I am the best person for the job, this section is essentially a persuasive letter to convince the viewer, convince the potential client that investment into editing, specifically great editing, is a wise investment. And I point out at the bottom that my rates are higher than average market rate, which is beneficial to me because I would like to earn more than the average market rate. And you presumably would as well. So take this to heart, because this is how you charge more. And this is how you avoid being in a race to the bottom with people who are undercutting their prices and charging the bare minimum. If you can convince the client that you're the best person for the job and that what you're offering is very worthwhile, it's called value-based pricing, then you're going to persuade them to, number one, go with you, and number two, pay whatever it is that you want to charge, be it a salary that you're trying to command in an actual job or a rate that you want to charge as a freelancer or a business person. Here I have at the bottom a contact form. This is made with a service called Tally. Once again, it's completely free. It works really well. It's very easy to use. And lastly, we have an FAQ section where I have some less important information, but there are little details that maybe a client might actually want to see. So I have some details about those answers there. So I will have this linked in the description down below. Feel free to study it, not only from a Notion building perspective, but also from a marketing perspective, because I actually based this off of the best applications that I received back when I was actually hiring my own video editor. And the sections in this portfolio are sort of based off what I found the most compelling and the most persuasive from those applications. So with all that being said, this little marketing and career lesson out of the way, let's actually start building this from scratch. And in doing so, we're going to learn some advanced layout tricks inside of Notion. And you're even going to learn a couple of things about embedding widgets, which make your pages even more useful. So we're going to start by opening up a brand new, completely blank page inside of Notion. And I will note that this is in a completely free account, so you do not have to be on a paid Notion account to do this. And honestly, there is absolutely nothing in this process that costs money. And I think that's pretty cool, because back in the day when I was in college, to get any kind of a nice web presence, you had to spend some amount of money. And today you can certainly spend money on a custom domain or additional theming or other platforms, but with Notion, you can basically build a website and have quite a bit of flexibility without paying anything. So to start this process off, we are going to give this page a title, and I'm just going to put Thomas Frank, Internet Video Editor. And in most of my Notion tutorials, I actually come up to the three-dot menu here and I make it a full width page. But in this one, we're actually going to take advantage of some new Notion features where you can actually stretch out multi-column rows. And I'm going to keep the normal page itself at its normal width. So we're going to start this out by creating a couple of different columns. And I'm going to type /2c to do that. And that will get me an advanced block called 2 columns. I could also do if I wanted 3c or 4c or even 5c. But I'm going to start this out with 2c. and we're gonna start creating that little header section. Though before I create any content here, I do wanna add a cover image to this page. So I'm gonna click add cover there, and I'm gonna go to change cover and upload, because I actually have a custom image that I have prepped for this. And it's just kind of a nice shot of my desk of me editing from one of my videos. But I think this is going to make for a nice little cover image that sort of lends credence to me as a video editor. So I'll save that, and now we can start crafting our little hero section. So the first thing I'm gonna do is grab this picture of me. I'll drag this in here, and just like that, I've got my little picture of myself there. And I have the finished version of this page open here, which is gonna allow me to copy and paste some of this text here. So I won't bore you by typing everything out, but I am gonna show you how to create all these blocks. So the first block I have here is a heading 1, so I'll just do /1 for that, and I'll paste it in my text, just like that. And then I wanna grab my text blocks here as well. This is just normal text, nothing super special. I'll paste it there. And then the last thing I have here is a little want to work together section. And this is a callout block. So we can go back to the page we're building here. I'll enter down one more time, and I'm gonna type /callout to get that. And then we'll type want to work together. And here's a little trick. If you hit enter and then tab, you'll get back into the callout block, and you'll actually be able to add additional blocks in there. So I'm gonna do -- for a nice little horizontal rule. And then I'll do send me an email, Windows key semicolon for the emoji. And I'm gonna do point down, get that bad boy in there. And we're actually gonna add a link to this a little later on, because what we actually want this to do is jump down to this contact form that is on the finished page. And I can show you how that works. So I'm at the top, I click this, boom, I'm at the contact form. So I need to get the contact form on the page a little later before I can add that link. So for now, we're just gonna leave that blank, but we will add as well, DM me on Twitter, and then I'll do @TomFrankly. I'll hit escape to get out of that context menu. And then with Control K, I can just type my Twitter profile link. So now I'm giving the client 2 different options for how to contact me. And I wanna grab this and nest it in this left column here. I'm gonna add some space, and this is actually a useful trick for when you're creating sort of like little websites or portfolio sites here on Notion. Add some additional space between your blocks. Don't be afraid to have a blank block here, because when people are looking at it in the browser, they're not gonna see that text there or any of that blank cursor or blinking cursor. It's just gonna be nice white space, which is gonna make things look a lot better from a design perspective. So going back here, the next thing I want to do is make this look like it does on this page. And there's a very simple trick to do that. You just go to this little block menu here, go to color, and then choose default background, and that makes it look just like this. It essentially gives it a transparent background. I'm also gonna change this little icon here to a film strip. Again, I'm a video editor here. I wanna make things nice and themed. And then here's the trick that's gonna allow us to make this page look very nice. When we have multiple columns, more than one column, we can actually grab these little handles here and stretch this column out until it looks the way that we want. So going back here and kind of referencing how things look, it looks just like that. So I'm gonna drag this in just a little bit, and I think that's good for now. If I were to zoom out, layouts are probably gonna change a little bit, but I think this is good, at least for tutorial purposes. So now we have our first section of the portfolio page done, and the next section we want to create is this little logo reel here with this I've edited for text. And you will notice that this is italicized, but it's also centered. And doing that requires a bit of a trick. I'm actually using an equation block, and I'm using some k-text to actually center align this text inside here. So I'll show you how to create that, and I'll actually show you 2 ways to do it, because there are more than one ways to skin a Notion page. So the first way that I'm gonna do it is by creating 3 columns here. And I don't actually do it this way on the page, but I'm just showing it to you for completeness. Here, I can maybe bold my text and do I've edited for, and then we can actually change the width of the columns and make this column very small, and we'll essentially center it just like that. But I wanna show you the k-text trick. So I'm actually gonna delete these columns, get back to 1 column, and I'm gonna type /equation and choose block equation, and this will open up the little k-text editor window. Now this is not a k-text tutorial. If there is enough demand for it, I might make one in the future, but one good thing to know is that k-text is not just for math equations. It actually has quite a few formatting tools, which can let you add colors and borders and alignment to regular text if you want. So the way that we're gonna do that is I'm gonna type /begin, And then in curly brackets, I'll do aligned. And then holding shift, I can enter down to new lines, and I'll do /n aligned as well. And I'll link to some K-Text resources in the description if you're curious. But in the middle, I'm gonna type my text. So I'm gonna do I've, and then I actually have to use tildes for spaces, edited for, and that's a cool little trick for getting truly centered text in a much wider column here in Notion. The next thing we wanna do is get this nice little logo rail here. And you'll notice that these are not individual images. They could be. I could do 4 separate columns on this page and then just put the images there and even align them. But the problem is on a mobile device, those 4 columns are going to stack and it's just not going to look very good. So a better way to do it is to craft an image in a different app and then bring that image in. And then you can actually change the width of the image. So I'm actually gonna show you how I crafted this image because I didn't need Photoshop or any specific photo editing tool for it. I was actually able to do it in a free tool called Whimsical. So you can find this over at whimsical.com. And you may have actually seen me use this in other tutorials before. I've used it for my ultimate brain paramodel. I've used it for explaining getting things done. It's just this really, really nice tool for kind of building flow charts and mind maps and other things. But one little known feature of Whimsical is that you can create a layout here and then you can actually export everything on this board as an image. So literally what I've done is I've just dragged images of my clients, which in this case are just me because I've edited for my own channels and no one else's, but I've dragged these images onto the board here. And then one nice thing about Whimsical is there are actual alignment tools. So let's just say I have these not very well aligned. There are nice little guidelines here, but they're just not horizontally aligned. I can drag to select them. And then here, there's this distribute horizontally button, which will make them nice and evenly spaced. And now that I've done that, I can come up to this little paper airplane icon up here for sharing. I can go to copy image, and now you will see that I can choose to either include the background or not include it, which I'm going to choose to not include it. And all I have to do is right click and copy this image. So now I'm gonna have all these logos with a transparent background, and I can go back over to Notion and paste it right on the page, just like that. We're gonna have a little bit of a background while it uploads, but once it's done, we have transparency, and now we can stretch these out to look exactly like we want. So if you are a freelancer, if you're a video editor yourself or a graphic designer, whatever you are, and you have clients you've worked for in the past, especially if they have any level of prestige or they're known well, ask them if you can put their logo on your portfolio page, because this kind of thing lends a lot of credibility to you and the services that you provide. Okay, going back to the finished version, we now have a table of contents inside of a callout. So let's go ahead and create that. We're gonna add a /callout one more time, and you know the drill. We can click that block menu, we can go to color and default background. And this time I'm gonna choose let's do how about a pile of books maybe, or maybe just one book, because we're doing table of contents here. So I'm gonna call it table of contents, once again, entering down and then tabbing back in to get into the callout block, adding my nice little horizontal rule. And then I actually wanna add a toggle here, and I'm gonna say open me, because our table of contents block is gonna end up pretty long, and I don't think it needs to be open by default, but I do want it to be an option, so I'm gonna put it in a toggle block. And this is sort of an example of how you can use Notion's blocks to essentially achieve whatever it is you're trying to do. My purpose here is to make a nice and easily scrollable portfolio page, but I wanna have some added sort of hidden functionality for people who actually want it. And by combining these blocks, I can do it in an aesthetic way. So once again, type / and then TOC is the short code for table of contents. So I'll click that. And right now I only have one entry here, which is my little H1 from above. But as I add more H1s, 2s, or even 3s onto the page, this will dynamically add those and expand. So I'm gonna click that there. And then now we can start creating our actual editing portfolio. And this is where we're going to really impress people with the breadth and again, depth of our work. So to do that, I'm gonna come down to a new line outside of the toggle block. I'll do /1 and we'll call it editing portfolio. Once again, do our 3 dashes for a horizontal rule. I'm gonna enter down once again to create that nice little white space there. And here we'll create another 2-column layout. And this is where we're going to actually embed our editing reel. So I'm gonna go here just so I can grab the URL of it. And we'll go back to Notion. And once again, type our little 2C command. So /2C for 2 columns. Here I'm going to type /2 for an H2 and do my editing reel. And then over here, I'm gonna add my video, and I'm going to choose embed video. So we actually get that nice little embedded YouTube player on the page. Going back here, I'm going to go ahead and just copy my text so you don't have to watch me type it. Maybe you would like to watch me type, I'm not sure, but I think most people don't want to. And then, just like we did above, we can grab the handle here or here, either side, and stretch this out until it's at the width that we want. And I want it to be roughly the same as this one, which looks pretty good. So now I've got my reel in there, and in the next section, I'm going to do /3C, so 3 columns, so I can create this nice little 3-column layout here. So to break this down, each of these here is a H2 or heading 2. We have, once again, embedded these videos, and then we have some text here. And I'll take a couple of seconds to go through some of the philosophy behind what I've written here. So you can read these yourself and go through them, but I will point out that here I've actually featured a quote from one of my commenters. I think this is a particularly, at least ego-stroking quote, but also a pretty good advertisement for my editing skills. Here I have actually highlighted that this video was turned around very quickly, under 36 hours, shot, edited, and published. And then this one sort of talks about how I can actually find the story in interview footage, cutting it up, chopping it up, reordering it, which is kind of a rare skill for video editors. So once again, each of these projects that is shown on my portfolio page, it's not just chosen at random. Each one of these serves a very specific purpose. Here, I'm trying to show off my artistic editing skills. Here, I'm trying to show off my how-to style editing skills, but also how quickly I can turn something around. Here, I'm trying to show off that I can edit interviews. Here, I'm trying to show off that I can do Hollywood level work, or at least something akin to it. And then down here, I even highlight short form video and music videos. So again, I'm just trying to highlight the breadth, and I'm trying to communicate that I'm not just an editor. I'm an editor that most likely can do things in the style that you, the client, are looking for. So let's go ahead and create this. We'll do an H2 for each of these, and we can actually sort of preset this up. So let's do /2 3 different times. And now we can just add these in here. So I'll speed this up. And now I've got my H2s. I'm gonna go ahead and drag these columns out once again to match this one up here. And we might actually want one more. That looks good. Now let's go ahead and grab the videos. So the way I'm gonna do this is actually just going here and clicking each of these and grabbing the URLs. And just like before, I'm gonna go ahead and copy all of these text blocks and just paste them into the version that we're creating. Now, one thing that bugs me a little bit is that we have this little lone edit word down here on its own line. But the nice thing is I'm very zoomed in for tutorials. Most people are going to be looking at this at a different width, and you can actually stretch things out on your page at a more default width. And that's actually going to make things a bit nicer in terms of this alignment here. So I'm going to zoom back in just because I'm doing things so you can see them very easily on the screen right here. And actually, I think that kind of fixed it, so that's nice. So the next section is, once again, just another 2-column section. I'm gonna create that very quickly, and then down here, it's basically the same as above, 2 columns, but we are stacking things vertically. And I just like how this layout almost looks like a magazine page. So this is really just kind of going off of my own sense of aesthetics. You can kind of do whatever you want once you get used to Notion's blocks and layout tools. And one thing that I did forget to mention is I don't actually have to go to these YouTube videos to copy their URLs. I can actually copy the block itself. So I'm gonna go ahead and not copy the link to the block. I'm just going to make sure that it's selected, and I can do that by clicking the little menu here and then clicking off. And then if I copy it, I should be able to paste it down here. So once again, I'm gonna do /2C, get my little column here, and it'll ask me if I want to paste and sync. I actually don't. So I'm gonna hit dismiss, and that's just going to create a brand new copy of the block right on this page. Once again, I'll stretch this out so it's nice and aligned with my other columns. And I want to actually enter down once and then drag this here just to create some more of that space there. And here I can do the exact same thing. In fact, I could drag and copy these blocks themselves and then paste them right in, once again dismissing so we don't paste and sync. And I think we don't actually want this blank block here. That looks pretty good. And to finish this section up pretty quickly, I can actually come over here and just copy these 2 columns. And one nice thing that Notion has added fairly recently is if I copy multi-column content and paste it, it actually pastes as multiple columns. It used to not do that, but now it actually does. So at this point, I've got my editing portfolio pretty much done. which means I can move on to the next stage, which is what people are saying. So we're going to create another H1, another horizontal rule here, and then we'll bring in some images of comments. So going back to our build page here, I'm going to enter down, get myself some nice little white space, do a /1, and do what people are saying. And seriously, the more you can collect testimonials, comments about your work, people talking about you in a positive way, the more you can showcase that, the better off you're going to be, the more persuasive you're going to be when you're trying to sell yourself or sell a product or sell a service or whatever it is. So I have actually pre-prepped a folder full of screenshots of a ton of comments on my videos of people basically calling out my editing and complimenting it. I'm not gonna show you how to take screenshots in this video. That's pretty easy, though I will mention if you're on a Mac, CleanShot is an amazing tool. If you're on Windows, ShareX is also amazing. So once again, I'm gonna create a nice little 2C, 2 columns. I'm gonna pre-stretch that out if I can. I think that'll look pretty good, maybe one more level. And then I'm just gonna very quickly bring in all of these comment images. And there we go. Now we have a nice little wall of love, if you wanna call it that, for my video editing. And one thing I wanna point out here is I got a lot of questions on that tweet thread about video editing on how you get your first client or how you convince somebody to actually hire you before you have experience under your belt. And I'm hoping that me building this makes the point kind of obvious. Everything on this page is my own work. Every video here is on one of my channels, which means I didn't have to ask anybody's permission. I didn't have to try to get anybody to hire me for me to build up my editing skills and also to build up my portfolio. This is all my own work, but that doesn't make it any less impressive because the work speaks for itself. You can watch any of these videos and you can see the editing skill and the craft and judge it for yourself. Doesn't matter that it's my own work. So seriously, if you're in any kind of field where you can do work independently and post it online or post content about it online, that is how you're going to build the first version of your portfolio before you have your first few clients or before you have actual work experience that you can show off. So go out, do permissionless work, and then show it off. It can be just as powerful as having somebody else that actually hired you. Okay, next section of our portfolio here. And just for my own edification, I am gonna bring this out a bit more to make it match that. There we go. I think it's actually even a little bit more. There we go, perfect. The next section is going to be our skills and services. So we have shown off our portfolio. We've shown the actual work. We have shown what people are saying. We're starting to build up credibility. So now we can actually show what it is that we provide in terms of services. So here I've got a my skills and services section. I point out that I'm a full stack video editor, and then I've got 4 columns here that are basically breaking down the specifics of what I can do for my clients. So let's go ahead and create this. And the first thing I'm gonna do is come back over here, enter down, and get myself a nice little 1 for heading 1 and type my skills and services. Triple dash one more time to get my horizontal rule. And now, because I've already shown you how to do this, I'm just going to copy this content and I'm gonna paste it on a couple of columns, just like that. And it's actually worth noting that I didn't even have to make the columns ahead of time. Because I'm pasting 2 columns, it creates 2 columns. And beneath that, we want our 4 columns for our different services here. So I'll quickly create those just to show you how it all works. /4C for 4 columns. You can go up to 5 if you want. I'll stretch that out to about there. And then we'll do heading 2s. So once again, it's always just /2. I believe you can also do /H2. Yep, that works, but I like /2. Or just to teach you a little bit of markdown, you can do 2 pound signs and then a space to create a heading 2 that way. 1 pound sign would be a heading 1. So let's go ahead and write all these in: basic editing, color, VFX, sound. And then we just have some simple bullets here. So I will copy the rest of these in, but I'm gonna show you how to create them. You can do /bullet list if you want, but I like to do just the star sign and then a space, and that gets me a bullet. Very, very easy. So do basic assembly cuts. And what else did I say? B-roll and stock footage sourcing. So for the rest of these, I'm just going to go ahead and copy and paste. And just like that, we have our skills and services section. The next thing I want to add, and this is sort of like a flourish. I don't think most people are going to do this, but I added in this section that I call the value of great editing. This is almost a sales letter for the service that I'm offering. Most people are not going to do this unless they're running like an agency and they very well understand marketing. But I think if you are a freelancer, this is the way that you level up your portfolio and you really make a connection to the client who might be viewing it. This is where you, number one, demonstrate your understanding of your craft and your understanding of the goals of your client, which is huge. Keeping with our video editing example here, a lot of video editors, especially at a lower level, are just focused on the technicality of the craft. I make the cuts, I put the effects on the screen, that's it. But a top tier video editor can do that, but also understand context and taste. They might understand that client A is looking for very quick turnarounds. They maybe have a short form strategy. Client B, maybe they're trying to win awards, so a little bit more artistry in the process is going to be very important. Maybe you're editing a speech, you want the editing to get out of the way, or maybe you're editing a film and you want the editing to actually be kind of like a technical flourish. There is a time and place for different kinds of editing and different techniques, and this applies to every other discipline as well. If you are a high-level practitioner, you don't just understand the moves, you understand when and why you want to make the moves and how those are going to connect to a positive end result for your client or your employer, whoever it is. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm writing essentially a letter to the person reading the page explaining that editing is a language. It's something that you have to use in a context-sensitive manner, and that takes experience and that takes taste. And I'm also, again, using numbers. I mentioned this when I talked about the little heading section right here with 200 videos, 100 million views. I'm using numbers, I'm using data to actually showcase the value of investment in editing. This video here, we spent a lot of time thinking about the editing, even though we turned it around pretty quickly, and it got 420,000 views. It drove 10,000 subscribers. It drove $2,300 in revenue. This right here, especially the revenue number, is going to be very interesting for a client because they can look at this and directly understand, I might be paying my editor $1,000 for this video, but we're making $2,300 just on AdSense. There's positive ROI already, to speak nothing of any products or services that we might have down our funnel, which we can use this video to tell people about. So this is sort of something I think I would always put if I was trying to get hired here, and I think you should as well. So in terms of actual technical building here, there's nothing crazy here. It's just a couple of columns here and one column here. I am using a block quote here, so I will show you that. Let me just copy this text. And right here, let's do the value of great editing, triple dash, and then you can just do either slash quote. You could do, I think you can do block quote. Yep. Or what I like to do is just a double quote and a space, and then I can paste my quote in it just like that. For the rest of this letter, again, this is really just kind of philosophy, nothing technical. So I'm going to copy those blocks and I'm going to paste them in there. And again, you can always study this stuff by going to the link in the description down below. And that brings us to the last couple of elements that are going to be on our portfolio page, one of which is our contact form here, and then the other is our FAQ section. And I'm actually going to do the FAQ first because this is just using Notion blocks, and this is actually using an embedded contact form from Tally. So we'll do that last. First, let's create this FAQ section. So to do that, once again, I'm going to get myself a handy dandy heading 1 and actually show you the pound space way to do it. Also, pro tip, if you want a toggle heading 1, do a toggle and then pound space. Now you have a heading 1 toggle, or do a heading 1 and then a toggle, same thing. But for now, I just want a regular heading 1. I'm gonna call this FAQs. And then beneath that, we're actually going to use toggle blocks. So because I'm using this as sort of a potential beginner tutorial for people who don't know Notion very well, I will let you know you can do toggle just like that. Or my favorite way to do it is this little arrow and then space and you get a toggle. And then you can just basically give it a title and then put any content you want inside. So here I've got several questions that I've answered. I've added a link here. And what I'm going to do for now is I'm just going to copy and paste these toggle blocks because again, typing them is going to be pretty boring to watch and not all that helpful. So let's just cheat a little bit and copy and paste. One thing that I do want to do is go ahead and get rid of this link right here because it's actually going to go to the other page and I do not want that to be the case. So we now have our FAQ section. The last thing we want to do is add our actual contact form. So to do that, we're going to use a platform called Tally. And Tally is a free online form creator. It's super easy to use. And as we can see here on the homepage, creating a form in it is very similar to creating content in Notion. Super, super nice to use. So create yourself an account. I'm gonna go ahead and log into mine. And then you can go to create form up here in the top right corner. And we can just start creating a form like we would do inside of Notion. So I'm going to call this video editing interest form. And now I've got blocks just like I do in Notion. You can explore this. Seriously, if you are used to Notion, you are used to this. I'm gonna go with short answer for name, and I'm gonna enter down and do email for email and have email as my placeholder text there. And then I'm going to do a long answer, and I'll just type what sort of project. We can actually change the text in the submit button as well. So I'll click the little gear icon here and change it to send. Just gonna send it. And that's pretty much all we have to do. So I'm gonna go ahead and publish it. And I am gonna go to the settings. And one setting that you are probably going to want is self email notifications. So if you turn that on, you are actually going to get an email every time somebody submits a form here, which is pretty important for forms. I'll hit save changes there. And then all I have to do is go to share, grab the URL to my Tally form, and paste it right on my Notion page. Super easy. And when you do that, you want to go to create embed, and that's going to actually embed the form. Now, one thing that I don't think you can do unless you're on their paid plan is actually choose the background color. But most people are going to be looking at your page in light mode, so I think it doesn't matter too much. Notice here that I'm actually dragging and compressing this, so it's just tall enough to not have a vertical scroll bar, but that's it. And that, my friends, is our completed portfolio page. So to actually enable this and to let people actually get to it, we want to go up to share right here in the top right corner, and then we'll hit share to web. And now this link right here is going to be accessible to anybody, regardless of whether they have Notion. It's just going to be basically a public website. One thing I'll point out here is that my subdomain here is thomas-experimental and then .notion.site. You can actually change that, and I'll show you how. So if we go over to our settings and members area, we can go to settings. And then down here, this is where you can actually set your domain. So if I wanted this to be something different, I could change it, I could hit update, and that would actually update my links for this workspace. But Thomas Experimental is totally fine for now. So let's go ahead and copy this web link, and then let's just paste it right here, and we can see it directly in our browser. And we will note that we are not logged in. This is completely public here. So I can zoom this in to make it a bit easier to see for you. And you'll notice that it says duplicate up in the top corner. This is a public Notion website. You're not actually logged into it right now. And I did just remember that I wanted to actually have this send me an email area jump down to the contact form. So let's go ahead and do that, and then we'll refresh and see what it does. So what we can do is click the little 6-dot icon on this embedded contact form block, and then you'll see copy link to block as well as copy link to original. We don't want original because that's just going to give us the form URL. We actually want the block URL. Every block in Notion actually has a URL, fun fact. And we can go to the top and then highlight this text here. I'll do another Control K, and I can actually paste, and we'll see here, Thomas Frank Internet Video Editor, this page, but link to block. So if I enable that, and then also go down to my FAQ, because I also had it in my rates little toggle there. Now, if we refresh our page over in the browser, we've got this link here, and that jumps us right down to the contact form. Now, one cool thing about the original version of this portfolio page that I created is that it has its own custom domain. You won't actually see it up in the URL bar, but if you go over to thomasfrank.tv, which I've just bought in prep for this video, it will actually go to this page. And that is because I've actually set up a redirect in Hover, which is the domain registrar that I like to use. And you can see here, I've bought this domain, I've gone to forwards, and I've actually chosen to forward it to my Notion site page. So this is a way where even if you weren't paying for a website builder, you could get your own custom domain and then just redirect it to your page here. And now I could take this domain and I could copy it, and then I could put it in my Twitter bio right there. I could send it to potential clients. I could do all kinds of cool stuff with it. There are some other options as well. If you don't want to buy a domain, if $12 a year is just not in the cards right now, another platform that I use is called beacons.ai. And you'll notice that that's actually in my TikTok bio. And that is because beacons.ai is this nice little, I guess, link in bio builder where you can create this mobile friendly page that just has links to all the stuff that you do or that you want people to know about. So the cool thing about beacons is it's completely free. And then you could easily just go to your homepage here. You could add a links widget and you could link to your portfolio from that. And then you would just have something like beacons.ai/Thomas Frank. That's totally free as well. The last one I'll point out is if you wanted to take things further, if you wanted to actually customize the look and feel of your Notion page, there are actually Notion website builders. One of them is called Super. This is probably the best known one. There's one called Potion. And then another one I've seen is called Notaku. And with Super, I actually have a little basic example version of this portfolio site built in Super. So you can see it actually lets you do things like rounding the corners, like adding drop shadows to your callout boxes. You can do a lot with the basic options here. And another cool thing is they actually have a template gallery. So you can go and get either free or paid website templates. And these are essentially collections of images and CSS and sometimes JavaScript, which will pretty much take the content from your Notion page and embed it in an actual web page and then apply all that styling and extra code. So you can use Notion as a pretty powerful CMS and then use tools like Super or Potion or what have you to really customize the presentation layer and then even hook up like a custom domain if you wanted to. So that's gonna do it for this tutorial. Thank you so much for watching. Once again, I have the finished version of my portfolio page in the description down below. Check that out, study it both for Notion building, but also for marketing yourself. And if you are new to Notion or you wanna learn more about it and become a Notion expert, definitely go over to thomasjfrank.com/fundamentals. There you will find my completely free and open Notion basics course, which goes from the total basics all the way up to databases and even formulas. Basically, if you want to go from zero to knowing what you're doing and being a Notion expert, that is the place to do it. And on that page, there's even a sign up for my Notion Tips newsletter. So if you want to get notified when I make new tutorials, new templates, basically whenever I publish something that's going to help you on your Notion journey, you definitely want to be on that newsletter. Last but not least, I also have templates. So if you are looking to use Notion to boost your productivity, go over to thomasjfrank.com/templates. I have productivity templates. I've got a video creators template. I've got a note-taking template, lots of other ones. Check those out. Follow me on Twitter at TomFrankly. I am most responsive there. So if you have Notion questions, let me know there. You can also ask down in the comments section down below. And once again, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.